On the Autocar show today, we pit the Maruti Vitara Brezza against the Ford EcoSport. There's the new Skoda Superb and Triumph's Bonneville T120 and Thruxton R.
Now this is a given that Maruti Suzuki's new Vitara Brezza is going to be a success. Why? Do the math. It's an SUV, actually better still, it's a compact SUV, so it's better for the urban environment. We know it's packaged really well, has a lot of features, and on top of that, it's priced really well. So the question is, should you be spending your money on this new upstart or the original fire starter, the one that kicked off the sub 4 meter segment in earnest, the Ford EcoSport? Well, we're here to find out exactly that. Now, both these compact SUVs are aiming for the same slice of the pie, and so they do have some things in common. For instance, both are under 4 meters long and their ground clearance is virtually the same, but they are very different as well. The Brezza, for instance, is shorter and wider, giving it a more confident stance and a more proportionate look. The EcoSport is 25mm narrower and nearly 70mm taller in comparison, but the EcoSport's aggressive and sporty design, like the slim headlamps and the gaping grille, really set it apart. In comparison, the Brezza looks quite tidy. Apart from the slightly sporty bumper, you could call the Brezza's design a bit safe. And the story continues on the inside. Now the Vitara Brezza isn't the one that wows you with its dashboard design. It's smart, simple, and on the inside you can see several bits that are common across the Maruti Suzuki. Fold, steering wheel, power window switches, all very common. We've seen them for years. That aside, it has an upper hand, and that's in terms of the equipment and features on offer. There's this touchscreen unit here. We've seen it on other Marutis, but it's really nice to have it in this class of car as well. Works nicely. It has navigation, connects to iOS devices, so you can use some of the apps from here. Then lower down here is the control for the air conditioning unit, automatic climate control, and what's nice is that it's a very simple design and the switches and all work really nicely. Meanwhile, the EcoSport makes an impression with its techy, futuristic design for the dashboard. But the sea of buttons can get a bit confusing, and the bigger disappointment is the 3.5-inch low-res screen for the Sync infotainment system. It looks outdated and is hard to read on the move. Other than that, both these top-end variants have plenty of features in common, such as push-button start, steering-mounted audio controls, Bluetooth telephony, audio streaming, auto climate control, rear parking sensors, auto headlamps, and rain-sensing wipers. When it comes to safety, the EcoSport and Brezza have their own pluses. The Ford features Emergency Assist, which helps alert emergency services in case of an accident. And this top-spec Titanium Plus variant gets 6 airbags, while all the other variants get 2. That's the same as the Maruti. However, the Brezza is offering a driver-side airbag as standard from the base variant, while the passenger-side airbag and the ABS is an option from the base model as well. Interestingly, the Maruti is certified to meet frontal offset and side impact crash tests. In the cabin, the Brezza's front seats will feel comfortable on your drives, while the aggressively bolstered EcoSport seats might feel a bit tight for broader occupants. But when you step into the back, the EcoSport gets the under-thigh support just right. But the Brezza has one big advantage. Now, when it comes to the in-cabin experience, what really clinches the deal for the Vitara Brezza is the sense of space on the inside. You can see over there how much knee room I've got. I've got plenty of headroom, so taller passengers can be accommodated. But that's not it. It's the width of the cabin that really works in its favor. Sitting 3 abreast will be fine, and for families where this will be the only car and they intend to do long distances in, it will make a difference. However, better under-thigh support would have been appreciated. The Brezza though offers an armrest, and when it comes to the boot, the Vitara's is well shaped and will make it easier to store more luggage. The EcoSport, however, has the larger 362-litre boot, but it is narrower, so making the most of it will be a bit tricky. When you get on the move, you'll find that both compact SUVs are very different to drive. The Brezza uses the tried and tested 1.3-litre diesel engine. It comes in the 89 bhp state of tune we've seen on the CS. The EcoSport though packs a bit more in the engine department with a 1.5-litre engine with 99 bhp.
Now the EcoSport's larger engine gives it an advantage in terms of low-speed drivability. That's because it can just create more torque with less effort at low RPMs. And that means you have to make fewer gear shifts, especially when you're driving around at slow speeds. And that's good news for city traffic. Now drive hard and you'll find that this engine doesn't really have that punch as the revs climb.
Meanwhile, the Maruti on the other hand feels dull low down in the rev range. But as the revs climb...
Now the Vitara Brezza's motor comes into its own. When you let it rev it past 2000 RPM, there's this nice slug of torque, ride that wave, let the revs build, and you have a decent amount of revs to play around with. You go past 4000 to about 4500 RPM, you can use it nicely. So when you find an open road, this feels nice and fun. Better than the EcoSport in the engine department there.
So it's really no surprise that the Vitara Brezza is faster than the EcoSport to 60 and 100 km an hour from standstill. But what is surprising is that it managed to offer faster in-gear acceleration as well. No doubt, a near 100 kg weight advantage over the EcoSport has helped the Vitara big time. In terms of suspension and steering hardware, both compact SUVs use similar designs. And in the case of the Maruti, it just doesn't put a foot wrong. The steering is direct, the grip from the wider tires is great, and it doesn't roll all that much either. And its high-speed stability is just plain fantastic. It feels predictable and solid in the handling department. So for most people, this would be just fine. But the enthusiasts might want something more.
Where the Brezza just can't match the EcoSport is in terms of the experience behind the wheel when you're in the mood to have some fun. I mean, you look at the steering wheel, it's light, precise, so communicative. You can feel what kind of tarmac is running under the tires. And then there's the suspension. Just go in for a turn, it just tucks in. There's no hesitation. It's for DNA.
Surprisingly, when it comes to ride comfort, the Ford isn't left behind either.
The EcoSport's ride quality is also pretty good. I mean, for the kind of lightly broken and bumpy tarmac that we get in the cities, it does a pretty good job of absorbing all of that. It's just that when the going gets a little bit rougher, you'll find that you hear a bit more of the suspension noise in the cabin.
The Vitara Brezza felt a bit stiffer in comparison, but it was very impressive because of how quiet its cabin really is. There really is no road noise, suspension noise or tire noise creeping into the cabin. So you can see how close things are between these two compact SUVs, and the Vitara Brezza can sneak only a slight advantage in terms of company-claimed fuel efficiency. However, the Maruti's big advantage, its price tag, has been countered by the EcoSport with a massive price cut. And that means both these cars are running neck and neck. So which is the one that deserves your money?
Now Ford's EcoSport, it's been our car of the year. It was a game changer. It set the template of what to expect from a compact SUV for the urban environment. And really, it does stand out because of its striking looks, its really strong driving dynamics, and because of that, its appeal is very high, particularly to a certain segment of the market. And then on the other hand, we have this, the Vitara Brezza from Maruti Suzuki, which really excels in terms of the cabin space it offers, but on other fronts, it just doesn't feel all that exceptional. The interiors, the ride quality, the drivability, everything just works right. It may not excel on any particular front, but when you stitch it all together, you get a really strong package. What you have here is the winner of this comparison test.